Thanks for tuning in to the Land and Home Show. Today we're talking about land values in the Bluegrass region. Hi, I'm Stephen J.B. Davis, your land specialist and residential realtor here in Central Kentucky and beyond. And the moment has finally come where we're going to be talking a lot of land today. I'm super excited to make this video because this is like one of my favorite subjects in real estate. It's land. I love land. I'm officially calling this the Bluegrass Land Report. I think it has a nice ring to it, and I guess I've decided to name it because there will be a comprehensive Bluegrass Land Report coming out soon. It'll be different than this video. Today's video is all about the last year. The comprehensive land report will take a look at the last 5 years. So I've been doing some like major nerding out, and I wanted to make this announcement before I forgot, because it's going to be a long video. Make this announcement before I forgot because I'm really excited about it, and I want to make sure that you know that there's a little bit more to look forward to. And it's, it's just been really intense and really exciting to put all of this together. Excuse me. So for today's purposes, 2024 to 2025, we're looking at June 2024 to June 2025. Kind of lines up with the fiscal year. The reason why the video will be long is because we're looking at 16 counties, and we're going to talk about 3 market segments. We're going to go 5 to 20 acres. I know I've been inconsistent with how I've done that over the years, but I've added the 5 at the minimum again. 5 to 20 acres, or just below 20, then 20 to just below 50, and then 50 plus. That's how this is going to happen. No houses, so just land. To kind of give you an idea of, if you're wanting to build a house, essentially, what you might be looking at your base cost in these particular counties. Okay, have I covered it all? I have not. In case you're new here, I've vacillated between doing like 20 counties and 10 counties and whatever. This is going to cover 16 counties that are geologically part of the Bluegrass region. With that said, the Bluegrass region is very large. What I do not include county-wise are things that get too close to Louisville. Louisville is a different market than Lexington. Sometimes they're similar, but they have different economic factors. Being closer to Louisville almost certainly makes land more expensive than being really close to Lexington. And then sometimes the reverse is true, depending on which county you're talking about. So I don't get too far west. I try to stick around the inner bluegrass and some of the outer bluegrass, which are both geological like names for the type of limestone that's around here. If you're interested in the regions and how that all looks, there is a map in the description to help you understand what the bluegrass is and why it is. But I mainly deal around Lexington, and it involves 16 counties. I'm going to see if I can quickly read all of those counties to you because I do not remember them off the top of my head. So we've got Anderson, we've got Bath, Bourbon, Boyle, Clark, Fayette, Franklin, Harrison, Jessamine, Madison, Mercer, Montgomery, Nicholas, Owen, Scott, and Woodford counties. I think that was probably 16. If I left one out, just know that the way that I've acquired this data has been based on 16 counties. Now, if there was no sale for the last year in a particular market segment, then, there's no data for that particular county. But 16 counties are what I'm taking into account here. Let's start with the 5 to 20 acre range. This is consistently one of the most sought after acreage ranges. It's what people mentally can imagine themselves taking care of, although a lot of times 20 is too much for people. But 5 to 20, or I should say 5 to like just below, I think I put in 19.99999, so anything just below 20. So here are some key observations in the 5 to 20 acre range of land with no homes. Most expensive counties by median price are Jessamine, Woodford, and Fayette, in that order. The median price in Jessamine for 5 to 20 acres was $45,287. In Woodford County, it was $39,000. Almost 40, and in Fayette County, 31.5. These are all per acre prices. So 45,000 and some change for Jessamine, 39,000 and some change for Woodford, and 31.5 and some change for Fayette County. That's by median price. The most affordable by median price would be Owen County, around $6,700 an acre, followed by Bath County, about $7,000 an acre and some change, and then Nicholas County, $9,500 per acre. All right. The highest single sale, which doesn't really surprise me because Jessamine has been blowing up. I guess I just, let the cat out of the bag. Jessamine County came in at $130 per acre for the highest single sale. And I did not do a deep dive on what these places had on them. If they didn't have a house, I put it on there. Mercer County's highest, Mercer County came in at the lowest single sale at $2,227 per acre. There's a lot of variation across any of this data. As a general rule, the closer you get to Lexington, the more expensive it is. The further away you get from Lexington, the cheaper it is. As long as you're not encroaching too closely on Louisville. That is just an overarching rule that has been true every year I've done it. I expect that would be true going back to the beginning of time, or at least the beginning of Lexington's time in existence. If you want to break things down just a little bit, we're still in the 5 to 20 acre range. We're gonna go into some averages here, okay? The largest average acreage, meaning for every transaction that happens, the average size of acreage that you might get in this 5 to 20 acre range, that's what we're talking about. So Owen County comes in at an average of 16.9 acres per transaction. Next is Boyle County. Boyle County comes in at about 13, just barely over 13.07 acres per sale. Again, we're just between 5 and 20 acres. Mercer County comes in at about 11.8 acres per sale on average. Where you get the least amount of acreage on average per sale is Jessamine County. No shocker there. They've been creeping up as the most expensive acreage for years and years. There's a lot of development going on there, especially in this acreage range. So that's at 6.3 acres per sale in Jessamine County. Then you get a slight edge up into 8.15, 8.14 acres per sale in Franklin County on average. And then you get about just barely over 8.03 acres per sale on average in Montgomery County. So that's the smallest acres you're getting on average per sale. If you zoom out and just talk about where's the most happening, where's the most activity for 5 to 20 acres? Well, Scott County would be first, which is really interesting to me. I'm not sure why, but that's how I feel when I read that. 44 transactions over the course of the year. Next, Harrison County, a county I love. I go dove hunting there. They got some great public land, some co-op fields out there. I love Harrison County for a lot of reasons. One of my favorite local artists, Wiley Caudle, is from there. Harrison is just a gem, Harrison County. But it had 33 transactions over the course of the year, 5 to 20 acres. We're still here. And then next was Jessamine County, 21 transactions, a pretty distant third. for, you know, most transactions in the year. Really just, I don't know, I find all this exciting. I'm trying to like tame my excitement. I'm reading notes. So based on all of this, here is where you're going to get the best value for 5 to 20 raw acres. All right, Owen County is the best bang for your buck. You're getting the lowest median price and the largest average parcel size, which was 16.9 acres and a little bit more. You get the most land for the least amount of money. That's simple. 17 acres, for instance, you know, that average acre size per transaction will cost you about $113,000 in Owen County. So if you're wanting maximum acreage on a budget, there you go. I will say this: Owen County is beautiful, but you're starting to get some very hilly land out there. Beautiful land. I turkey hunt out there, or I should say I have turkey hunted out there. I haven't turkey hunted in Owen County for like 2 years now, but again, some great public land. Yeah, it's pretty hilly. So, you know, what your 17 acres looks like, how usable it is, it's not like going to the Red River Gorge or being in the Appalachian Mountains. In fact, it's going away from, you know, eastern Kentucky, but there's some very rolling hills there. So, you know, your 17 acres, you might have a lot of it, but it might be a lot of slope with just a little bit to build on or something like that. That's the point there. Your second best value is going to be Harrison County. It's going to be your most consistent market. It's $12,500 an acre median, but you have a lot of chances, right? It came second in most transactions. You had 33 transactions. And the pricing there is pretty stable. And I think the reason why the pricing is stable there is because if you imagine a dartboard, the bullseye is Lexington. And then there are 6 counties on that outer bullseye, which represents all of the counties that touch Lexington. Harrison is the next ring outside of that. So like the chances for development, and there's not even an interstate running through Harrison County, things like that are probably why it's stable. It's not really like preparing itself for any sort of massive change from a development standpoint. So it's a very stable place, and what that means if you're buying is, you know, you can expect to reasonably pay, around the same amount of money. You're not getting these highs and lows depending on where you are in the county. It's like you can kind of go anywhere in the county, and it's going to be about the same north to south, east to west. That's what that means. And so if you're really wanting some like rural tranquility and you're wanting it on a budget, Harrison County is a great place to be. You're still close-ish to stuff. You're not talking about like being 2 hours away from Lexington or anything like that. You can be in Lexington in less than an hour. But it's quiet. You're not getting, you know, that sprawl coming toward it in any sort of immediate way. Who knows what will happen in 20 years, 30 years, but right now, you know, things are pretty stable. It's really quiet. All right. Then Bath County is where you might find a rural bargain. And what do I mean by that? This is another place where you're getting like a decent amount of acreage on average, about 9.2 acres per transaction. The lowest median price, which was $7,032 per acre. Sorry, second lowest median price. I'm reading a lot. I can't remember all of this. But you get the rural setting. You get a lot of great pasture land. Like it's hilly, but it's like the Hobbit out there. So you get a lot of like rounded hills in Bath County. It's one of the reasons why I love it. It reminds me of like the Shire. It's a really, really pretty place, but there's a lot of farming out there, and it's generally going to be cattle country. So for 9 acres, that average per transaction acreage amount, you're looking at spending around $65,000. And so that's what makes it kind of another rural bargain, and also just a really pretty place to live. Now you're you're edging toward eastern Kentucky. You're edging toward Moorhead, which is kind of like the line of like, we consider this eastern Kentucky. You're not quite there yet. You're just kind of in like this cultural no man's land, because some people in Bath County are like, I'm not eastern Kentuckian, and some of them are like, I'm eastern Kentuckian. That's for them to figure out. But it's a little out there. It's further away from things than Harrison County, which is the one that we just talked about. That's where Cynthiana is. So let's break this down one more time. The value categories by buyer type. So if you find yourself under $100,000 is where you want to be, you're looking at Owen, Bath, and Nicholas. Okay, you're getting good acreage for the money, you're getting good acreage at a low cost, and you're getting some decent parcel sizes. If you're in that $100,000 to $200,000 range, you're looking at Harrison County, Anderson County, and Montgomery County. Now Harrison we talked about. Anderson is going toward Louisville, but not quite what I would call Louisville metro at all. Anderson is like where Wild Turkey is. It's Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Not to be confused with Lawrenceburg, Indiana, where there also is bourbon. It's where MGP is housed. But Anderson County is basically going west. And then the third in that mid-range, if you're very value focused, that $100,000 to $200,000, you're going to find that in Montgomery County. It's out there toward Bath. It's a little further away, but you do have access to an interstate, which not all these counties do. Premium location. So if you're willing to pay more, you're past the $200,000 range and you want to be close, you like convenience, you're going to want to talk about Scott, Clark, and Franklin. Interesting that Franklin makes the list. Scott and Clark both touch Lexington. We talked about this bullseye idea. Lexington's in the middle, and then you've got these other counties around it that touch it. That's what Scott and Clark are. Scott is right above Lexington on the northern border. Clark is on the eastern border of the county that Lexington is in, which is Fayette. Sorry, I'm getting eaten up. Franklin, on the other hand, is like a ring removed. Franklin County is where Frankfort is. Frankfort was named after a guy named Frank who had a fort, Frank's Fort. I didn't know that until like last week. Anyway, it's where our state capital is, and it has some beautiful water running through it. The Elkhorn Creek runs through it. There's not a whole lot going on there, but you're kind of, I think it makes this premium location type of idea because it's sort of perfectly situated between getting to Louisville and getting to Lexington, because I-64 runs right through it. So aside from the construction going on I-64, it is otherwise very easy to get between the two places. It's starting to get into that no man's land of, it's not quite Lexington, not quite Louisville in terms of which market it belongs in, but geographically it does belong in the Bluegrass. So it's a moderately priced county, whereas Clark it's great access. It's right on the eastern side of Lexington, really, really far west. Clark kind of can be seen as an extension of Hamburg, which is like this little hamlet that exists on the eastern side of Fayette County, where Lexington is. And then Scott has been blowing up forever. I mean, you're talking, at one point in time, like maybe a year and a half ago, there was a legitimate buyer's market in Scott. They were just building so fast that buyers had a premium. There was a lot of supply, and buyers could say, you know, I don't want to pay that because I can get the same thing down the street for cheaper. Like the substitution and the competition was all over the place. If you are very value conscious and you want to make sure you avoid spending a ton of money, relatively speaking, you're going to want to avoid Lexington, Fayette County. You're going to want to avoid Woodford County, which there will be more in Woodford later, but that's the second highest like expensive / like acreage combo per transaction type of situation. And then Jessamine. I mean, Jessamine's where Nicholasville is. It touches the southwest corner-ish. Lexington's not really like a rectangle or anything. It's hard to describe. It's like, I don't know, it's not even really a pentagon. How many sides does Fayette County have? Fayette County and Lexington are the same thing, if you haven't picked that up. Anyway, Jessamine is just, it is the most expensive place to try to be right now. There's just a premium to be there. I still don't quite understand that. There's no interstate. Like, it's crazy to me that Jessamine has developed faster than a place like Clark. That's not what this video is about. So there's that. I think the takeaway here, we've talked about buyers and places to go and why you might want to be there. Harrison County is a place that I constantly like die on a hill for. It's like Groundhog's Day. I get people that are like, you know, I want to be in this type of place, and I want land, and I want some water, and I want proximity to Lexington, but I don't need to be like right on top of it. I don't want a big town in the middle. And I'm always like, Harrison County, Harrison County, Harrison County. Cynthiana is beautiful. It's great. No one ever listens to me. I mean, shocker. It's kind of like the story of being a realtor. And I know there are a lot of realtors that don't know anything, but I put a lot of effort into knowing stuff. And then if you ask me a question, I usually respond like a 1-to-1 ratio. You ask me a yes or no question, I'll tell you a yes or no answer. Like, I always go hard for Harrison. It has a lot of bang for buck. It has a lot of space. It has a lot of options. You know, you're not trying to decide between a very limited supply like you are in other counties, such as Lexington. Like, there's so much opportunity there. I think in this market segment, I would say Harrison is like, it's the move. It's the move. If you can afford it, of course, right? Like, everything's about your own personal situation, but if you're looking for bang for buck, most acreage per transaction in this 5 to 20 acre range, you're looking for the proximity, you're looking for quiet, you're looking for, this isn't going to be, you know, full of strip malls in 5 years and urbanized. Like, Harrison is it. Like, do it. And that covers the 5 to 20 acre range.